Hello everyone. So today's video is on technologies required for e-commerce. So I'm basically going to describe about the types of technologies that are used or required for e-commerce. So I would write about security issues that are involved if a website was set up, and I would advise Cuckoo and make recommendations for them on how they could promote their e-commerce website. So this presentation is actually continuous from the previous one about e-commerce. It's mainly about, which is about the benefits and drawbacks of e-commerce. So basically, I've made a diagram a long time ago, and it indicates these are the requirements technology for the technology requirements for e-commerce. So networking, of course, you need a network so you can actually run the system, because the system is through a network basically. When you use computers, you have to log into a network and you have to access the internet, among other things, through a network. And you need hardware and software to be able to run the network through that, to run a network. So hardware and software. I've done a video already. It was over 40 minutes long, and I've done a video about that already, about hardware in particular. But I haven't talked about software yet. But I did it mainly for IT plus media, like creative media, because technology is really needed for that. Because people say it's only for IT and business and stuff, or administration. But for film, TV, or media, creative media, or graphic design, you need hardware and software to be able to work with what you have, to be able to do the job at hand, basically. Hardware are physical parts of a computer which you see and touch. So the monitor, CPU, and motherboard are examples of hardware components. Software are a collection of instructions that run on a computer. It is not a physical thing, but it can be stored on a physical medium like a USB stick and a hard drive, which is basically similar. So examples include operating system and software applications. And there are hardware and software which are required for e-commerce, which include web server, browser, server software, web authorizing, and database systems. So I'll go through all of them. So a web server is a type of computer that delivers web pages. So it basically looks like this, basically. If you ever see images of the news about people hacking, basically, like, because there's a bit of that, and currently it's not current issue, but it has been on the news before. So all web servers should have an IP address. I think that's the only way to recognize where. I think address can give away your location as well. So if you type in the website address you would want to access, it sends the requested site onto URL before opening the site for the user. So URL is basically the website address in full. Because you have the HTTPS thingy before you type the name of the website. The web server is not only used for hosting web pages, but it also has other uses such as running enterprise applications and data storage. So it's just not always for the it's only for internet purposes, and it can help store any pages that you want to save, and it can run applications for you. The server basically runs the computer, the program that you're on. Because there's different types of servers, but I'm not going to get into that. If the web page is not sent through the server, it means the user who's using a Cuckoo website will not be able to see it because it is not known to be a website. So basically, you have to have a web page sent through the server. It needs to be sent through the server because people won't be able to see what the website is. They'll confirm that your website doesn't exist. That's basically what this means. So that is why Cuckoo should have a web server to send their link through it. Because you need to have a link. That's how you're going to get the website. Be able to access different websites. Like, for example, if you're accessing Wikipedia, you need a link for that or such, as such. So that's what you need. Browser is basically so a web browser is a software application used to locate, retrieve, and display content such as web pages, images, videos, and other files on the World Wide Web. So basically, all that. So that's what you use web because you could search for different pages using a web browser. So web browsers do have search engines built in, basically, which can help people find what they're looking for on those websites. You can search for anything, like image, all these things you can search for. The browser is the main client, which runs on a computer. It doesn't. It does this by contacting the web server to request information that it wants. So you need to, I mean, after the web server sends back the information that the browser needs by displaying the results on a computer and devices which support it. So basically, after it sends the web server sends back the information by displaying, it shows you different results. Once you type something in, the web server picks up on that and then starts to interpret the information by giving you a search result. It's a results page or so. When you go on Google, let's say you're typing something and you get basically it does the server will pick on you send it to it's been sent. It's already been sent to the website. You don't need to do anything else physically. You just the web server will try and understand what you're trying to what you're suggesting basically, and then it'll give you a results page. It retrieves back, goes back and forth the information. So these are the examples: Internet Explorer, Firefox, Google Chrome, which is the most popular one actually, because I use Google Chrome as well. I use it all the time actually. I used to use Internet Explorer, but people saying Google Chrome is fast. And I get why they use it. It's quick. It is so fast. Firefox, I think, is on Mac, but it's been on Windows as well. Because I have used a Windows computer operating operating system, a computer that has a Windows operating system with Firefox as a web browser. Safari, that's on Mac, I think, only. Safari. I think a few of my friends have Safari because they use it on their phone as well. I think it's on your phone. You can get Safari on there. And it's on my grandma's phone as well. She has an iPhone. It's on Apple computers and devices and such. And Opera, I think I've heard of that, but I can't remember what it's for. Opera. They're examples of browsers that can be used by different users basically. Whether you use the computer or not, you have used the internet at some point in your life. So server software. Web server software is used as a software to is required to run the server. So basically, the server software is designed for managing its own connection to the server. It is also used for creating and editing web pages with the HTTP formatted, which I mentioned in the beginning because you need to have that in place before you write the address, basically, which I also use. Basically, the reason why I think it keeps your website more, it will know what your website is. I think it will give you that information. But if it has the S at the end, the HTTPS, that means the website is secure, basically, and is safe to use. So there are different types of server software that are used for the server in order to create web pages. So Microsoft IIS, which stands for Internet Information Services, and Apache, which I think I'm more familiar with both. But I'm more familiar with the second one because I've heard of it from somewhere. So I did create a video about security mechanisms, security protection mechanisms, I think. And I did mention about HTTP before, so if you haven't watched that video, you must do so. So, web authorizing tools and database systems. So a web authorizing tools are software that is used for designing and presenting websites on the internet. When creating a website, it uses the main language in computer called HTML, which is used for the layout of web pages, and this is based on the type of site the user designs. So users can change their designs and graphics using the HTML code and will need to expertise and would need expertise in order to design the website. You don't really need to be. Yeah, if you want to design like a website using that code can help, but I would say if you're not an expert and you don't know much about creating websites, I would probably recommend something else that is simple and easy to do because there's a few websites that I know that can help you. For example, Wix is the best website because it's the only one I've ever used. Dreamweaver does require this. If you have Dreamweaver, it requires you to create using the HTML code. But I know I've heard that it's very difficult for people. And Wix is the best website because it's so quick and easy to do. One time, I remember I said I only created, it only took me an hour, almost an hour to create a website through Wix. So, yeah, basically, I would recommend using Wix website because it helps the person with to any novice who doesn't know anything about website making can do that basically. Or you can use other websites like Weebly and Blogger, I think. But Blogger's mainly for blogs. I can't remember. There's another one. Oh no, there's more that, but I just don't remember right now. So Google do not need to hire an expert to create the website because it will cost money. So basically, if you want to hire a professional, it will cost you money basically because yes, they can help you know that they're good at knowing their HTML language for website creation, but I would not consider that because it's cost effective if you could do it yourself. In some, so all they need to do is type. All they need is the type of software that they need to create from scratch for free using Dreamweaver and MS Expression. So I did say Wix and some other ones as well, Weebly and I think Blogger. I did say yes, Blogger. That's what I said because Weebly. I think Blog is free actually. It's more quick and easy to do. And Weebly, and there's one called Squarespace. But Squarespace is I've never used Squarespace because it's not actually cheap. You have to pay to create a website. A database is a collection of information that is organized so that it's easier to access, manage, and update. So there are different types of information which can be collected on a database. So in e-commerce, a database could contain information such as username, email, and password. So basically, databases can collect your information, but sometimes people do like to save their information so they don't have to log in again. But I would say you should never save your information. Don't save it because sometimes they ask you on I think it's a web browser, I believe. The server asks you whether you want to do it or not. But I tend to not because it can lead to other people trying to access that information that you've inputted when you start logging into your account. So it's best to be safe. But it stores because it stores your so people will find out what your username is. They could even log into your password and they already have it figured it out already. And they can know your email address as well. So don't save. Just keep it to yourself. So Kuku needs a database to enter details of their customers who do e-commerce on their website. So basically, they need a database for that. So they need their customer. That's how the customer is going to pay for their items by having entering their details and inputting their username and email address and password, so they can confirm that's the customer who bought. So it's easier to identify who did what, basically. I think so. They need to include information such as product information, price, and image of the product that's on sale, and description. So they need to include everything about what their brand is, what their products are, and everything about the product. So people will know what they're seeing and stuff. So customer details will also include on the database, such as name, surname, username, address, and password. Yep, as I mentioned, because they need to know who you are, whoever's, why you're buying that product. I mean, the product that you decide to purchase. So TCP and IP addresses. So TCP stands for Transmission Control Protocol. It is a communication language between computers to transmit data. The IP, which stands for Internet Protocol, is the address that has numbers which are separated by full stops that is used to identify each computer using the Internet Protocol in order to for each computer to communicate over a network. If computers do not use the same protocol, it's going to be difficult for them to understand the data being transmitted between them. So this is the reason I think it's important just to have it in place because computers have to communicate between one another. So they both need communication. These addresses need to be communicated because it's easier to transmit data that way. And the network can flow more better, I would say. I don't know what else to put in. So, ports and protocols. A port is an access channel, while protocols are ways computers can exchange information. Your computer must send and retrieve and receive in order to use the internet. Then all the data that is sent and is received by the software that usually comes with your computer. So basically, a port is an access channel, which so I think they both work together because you see this diagram up here, they work together. So that's how the user will access these computers start communicating with each other. Because so the laptop, though, it goes round and round basically in a triangular shape. So that's how you're going to get some kind of info from the computer. So your computer has different. So there's a range of numbers from 1 to 665,535. One port sends the data and the other port is meant to receive the data from the computer. So it works by the computer, the port sending one to another through a protocol. So each of them sends protocols basically. So when ports are in range of number and are getting the packets and going out of the computers so that it will not collide with other data that will cause confusion. So it doesn't. So there's different numbers and the packets go out because, and that's how. So it will not confuse. So that's why they're all numbered from 1 to 6,500, 65,535. So that's why they have separate numbers and stuff. So it's easy to identify. And you know which packet's coming and stuff. The software in your computer organizes the data that comes in packets. The packets are made as protocols so that the computer recognizes them as data. So that's what I was trying to get. That's what I was trying to say, basically. So there are software that are used to receive the data into your computer by automatically joining these packets together. And original messages are copied, so they are copied. So it just works both ways, basically. So not only it sends the data, but it can copy the message that has been sent to another port. Each port can have its different messages sent, copied over to each port, different ports and stuff. So a domain name is part of any website address which belongs to a particular domain. So it is usually at the end of the website address in the URL. So its job is to identify one or more IP addresses, like for example www.google.com, and it would lead to other IP addresses rather than just giving one result. So you would know it belongs to that domain because the suffix that is used to identify the type of domain. So you know what type of domain it is. So for example, .org, which is basically an organization of some kind, and .co.uk, which is basically in UK, a company based in the UK. So it is important for Cuckoo to have a domain name just like any other organization. So it's easy to identify so you know what they are, what kind of business they are. So they can use different domain names that they they can have different domain names that they can use, such as cuckoo.com, cuckoo.co.uk, cuckoo.fr. Now, FR is basically France, and the .com I think is international. Well, people say it's American, but I think it's international. So they can still be recognized as Cuckoo, the clock company, even though they're using different domain names because they are trying to get their website out to other countries. So in different languages. So their website is in not only one language, but in different languages as well. Program requirements. So web pages are usually written in the type of program called, as I said in a previous website, called slide HTML, or a form of the language called XHTML. This code is used to create web pages. So, like, you need to communicate through codes, and you have to type in information that the code of that thing. Like, if you want to do titles and color, and then it's your safe bet, really. That's how you're going to do it. There are other codes which are also used, such as JavaScript, which is the most popular one, and I've seen lots of websites using JavaScript, PHP, and others, which are used to add functionality. HTML does not provide capabilities for e-commerce, so that it means there is another language that must be used. So basically, that's why the HX HTML comes in because it does help with that. So instead of having HTML on its own, HTML just actually creates the web page itself. It's not just, it doesn't provide anything else. So that's why the X comes in. If I could remember actually. But HTML uses a system of tags which could contain instructions which are meant to be followed. To prove that the language has been used is by writing the code HTML in a very particular way at the start and end. So you see the image there, that's how they did it. Each page is divided into a head and body section. The head section cannot be seen, but the body section can be seen and it contains all the content pages. So there are programming requirements that Cuckoo would need for them to create an e-commerce site such as HTML, or they can use website authorizing tools for different software on different software programs like Dreamweaver in order to create websites. They can use Wix, as I mentioned, Squarespace, because I think Squarespace has become popular as well. And they can use you know, I can't remember. Weebly as well. You can use that. You don't need they could just do that so easily and quickly through those websites. Download speed is how fast something goes at a computer on a computer when downloading from the internet, such as files, folders, software applications. So in e-commerce, the download speed affects how fast something should download. So it would have an effect on the of the functionality of its, like, for like companies like Cuckoo would have to want to create a website on e-commerce on the internet. So in order for them to do this is they need to download faster. In order for their website to download faster is they would need to use compression techniques to reduce the size of images and videos. So compression techniques, they need to compress the file so that they can have more storage space for other files if they want to keep downloading more. Otherwise, they would have to use small photo sizes. Browser and platform compatibility. So that is important because many browsers which users have can use to do e-commerce. There's so many of them that there's many options how you want to access your web, how you want to access the internet through whatever browser you want to do. It's no, you don't. There's no wrong way to do it. Just pick any browser you like or you feel comfortable with. So it's even more important that it performs consistently in all browsers, making sure it's compatible to one another. So Cuckoo will have to design a website that can take account of the common browsers used. So they need their website to be able to function on every single browser there is. So I would say they need to create a website for that because people use different. Not everyone uses Google Chrome. Not everyone uses Internet Explorer. Not everyone uses Safari. Just have to make they have to make a website accessible for everyone. So to conclude, I will have described and advised Cuckoos as a bricks business about technologies that are required in e-commerce. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and please like, share, subscribe, and here are the references for you to take a look at. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.